G'day one, g'day all. Welcome to part 3 of the AFL Draft Q&A live streams that we are putting together. Or Merry Christmas Eve to those that celebrate. Because let me tell you, it is going gangbusters at the moment with all of this draft stuff. So fingers crossed you'll be able to jump in tonight and we will be able to have a lot of fun. Make sure you're getting in those comment sections if you're on Facebook or if you're on YouTube. For those that are watching on Twitter, you can leave your comments down below as you're watching and I'll get to them after the live stream finishes. But make sure that you get involved in the chat. And Philly Nation, I couldn't agree more. This is absolutely outstanding. I am pumped. Seriously, I'm not a massive Christmas celebrator. This might become the new it because I'm loving everything that's going on. Matty, I hope you're well as well, mate. I've had one of the all-time weekends, let me tell you. It is true what they say. It's about the company, not the activity. And my goodness, I've been able to do both in spades this weekend. So I hope you guys are well as well. This is a very good question. We're getting started with it early, which I like. What number will the Wizard wear at Hawthorn? That's a good question if the Wizard does arrive at Waverley. I'm not giving him the 23, but I am giving Guinea the 33. So... do we give the 23 a rest for a year? Should it go to another tall? The buddy curse may live on. Poor Timmy O'Brien and Jacob Kazitsky maybe not filling out the number as much as Hawthorn fans might have hoped. James, hope you're well, my friend. Ken could not agree more, mate. We'll just go. Kenny, the big reason I want the Hawks to go well, as much as I am a supporter, is just I get joy out of other people not enjoying our success. I think that's a bit masochistic of me, but anyway, we move on. But I hope everyone is well. I'm going to do my best to get to as many of the comments as we can, guys. Now, I'll try not to keep it all Hawthorn. That's not what we want. We love every team here at Daz Talks Footy. Okay, so no stress there. Let's have a look. Is Daniel Curtin a better selection for West Coast this year than a couple of the boys next year? Yes, I'm a big believer in 12-month development is more important than a 17-year-old who we don't know how they're going to go in their draft class. So, yes, Dan Curtin I would be taking now, getting the 12 months into him and go from there. Let's have a look. Is there a chance that Melbourne could trade 6 and 11 for North's pick 2 or 3? I think they'd like to. I don't think it'll happen. For the pure and simple reason of is I think North are going to bid on Walter at one of their picks. I don't know why they wouldn't do it at pick 2. I know Kaltsumi's Phantom Draft had them taking Colby and then bidding, which stuff that. Bid on him first, for crying out loud. Make them pay up. But they'll take Colby and then they'll field deals. If Melbourne do that, it would be really interesting to see what North do. But I think it is all dependent on how much they love Daniel Curtin, to be honest. And apparently Clarko is interested. So wouldn't surprise me if McKercher and Curtin end up at North and they just try to use maybe their future first to get back into this draft and maybe try and look at someone else in the back end of the top 10. A couple of suggestions for the Wizard. Crom, 4th flag incoming. Well, I've got them finishing top 4 next year. Anything can happen from there for the Crom. Love the Crom. A couple of other Hawthorn questions here. I'm going to not ignore all of them, but we are going to try and keep this as many clubs as we can, guys. So please don't think that I'm ignoring you on purpose. I'm also realizing I don't have my glasses on me because I don't want this to glare. So let's make these comments a little bit bigger so I can read them. Okay. Let's have a look. Hope you're well as well, my friend. You absolutely deserve it, Isaac. Saw in Toomey's late mail mock draft that he has Charlie Edwards after a McCabe bid for the Crows, then Darcy Wilson at 20. If Darcy Wilson gets to pick to North, I think was the notion, or maybe the Giants maybe was where he ended up. If he gets that far, maybe I just don't have a clue because Darcy Wilson is not the 20th guy that should be selected in this draft. Absolutely not. And this isn't me saying Cal's wrong or anything like that. I'm just saying logistically with how good this kid looks, 20 to me seems bonkers. But it would not surprise me if the Crows did go either Charlie Edwards or George Stevens. I'm a massive George Stevens fan, personally. But that big-bodied mid definitely will be a look for the Crows. Could West Coast do 23-37 and a future first for 7 and 16? I don't know why you would give up 23-37 and, say, pick 2 for 7 and 16. Surely you'd give up, let's say hypothetically it was this draft, just to make the future stuff a little bit less complicated. Would you give up, say, pick 2? Because we'll take pick 1 off the table. Would you trade pick 2 and 23 for 7 and 16? You probably would. So you can end up keeping 37 there. Maybe. But if the Giants, who I think you're referring to here, is 7 and 16, if that was on the table, it would definitely be tempting, but you would have to be hoping that first pick, West Coast first pick, is out of the top 3. Because if you're getting 7 and 16 and you're potentially getting Reed, say Curtin if he's still there, and then whoever you like at 16, whoever it may be, a ton of options there. Those 3 would really have to work because there is some top-end talent coming through next year's draft. Massive risk. Massive risk. I would try to hang on to 37 if I could, just to get another youngster in early because I'm a massive fan of development over potential. They could. I'm not sure if I would, though. I'm not sure if I would. Yeah, I've already spoken about Darcy Wilson, so I apologize, Rory. Hopefully you can jump back in the chat and I'll get to it as I can. Let's have a look here. Travis, with Brisbane trading up. Yep. Who do you think they are choosing, considering it is only a 4-pick upgrade? Well, it won't really be a 4-pick upgrade because of the academy kids, but I understand what you mean. It's going to be a 4-pick upgrade in terms of the open draft there for Brisbane. But I think when you've got the notion that all you need right now is best talent available, moving up in the draft is important because you're going to get a better talent available. So if I'm Brisbane, I don't actually think there is one player in mind. I think they just want to get up as high as they can, maybe bank some assets for next year for points for Levi Ashcroft and see who's there. That's my feeling. Okay. And the player who I think they might be looking at will be outside of the center square. So it could either be, your defender, even though you've got Tom Doedee. They've got plenty of forwards. We understand that. But best talent available might be the way to go. Personally, I genuinely think it's a ruckman. I do. I know they've got Oscar McInerney. I know they just picked up Brandon Ryan as well. But I think it might be a ruckman. Whether it's a Will Green, Mitch Edwards, or Taylor Goad, I think they would be number 1 on the talent board for Brisbane. I hope this helps. And if you disagree, please let me know. If you're looking for a key back, O'Sullivan is the better choice than Curtin. The only way I agree with this is if Curtin does develop into a midfielder. But if I'm going pure centre-half back v centre-half back right now, Dan Curtin's the better player, I think. But I don't think anyone can deny that I'm a massive Connor O'Sullivan fan for all of those that have seen my mock draft and potentially forgot to edit that out. Not potentially, I just did. Con, DeRues take Curtin. If Clarko loves him as much as we're told they are, then yes. Let's have a look. Kai, hope you're fantastic as well, my friend. Do I think drops down and maneuvers picks to get future picks for academy bids next year? Stays at 12. Who's got pick 12 from the top of my head? Adelaide, I think. Are you talking about Tyler Welsh there? Kai, I hope you are. I can't quite see what your logo is there, mate, but if it is the academy bids for next year, yeah, it would be because Walsh and Michael Annie, I think, younger brother, is coming through as well. Definitely can maneuver, but I think the Crows at this point in time are probably better off getting as much young talent in the door now and then using next year's trade period to get better picks in. That's what I would be doing if I'm the Crows, with how good their draft hand is at the moment. Matty, am I watching the cricket tonight, World Cup final? I had to make a decision. Do I watch the Cricket World Cup final or do I watch the Miami Dolphins? And considering the Dolphins had a bye, I'm going with the Finns. So I'll be up at 5 a.m. watching the Dolphins take on the Raiders. And hopefully the Finns offense can put up huge numbers. 6-0 against bad teams and 4-0 at home, including against the Chargers, which is looking like a worse win as we go on. But enough about the NFL. What I think will happen and what clubs do you think will be involved? That is a very broad question, James. I think there will be a trade in the top 10. I think it's highly likely it's Melbourne or GWS that are heavily involved. I don't believe the Crows are going to get in at this point. I think the Hawks will either maybe trade down or GWS will dangle pick 7 around if Melbourne take Caleb Windsor. I get the James Leake to the Giants thing is kind of the plug and play at the moment, but it doesn't make sense to me at that point. Do I reckon the GWS get West Coast future first for their first this year? Well, I think the GWS potentially need to give up maybe a little bit more. Pick 7 for pick 1 next year or 2 might be a little bit much, but you got to overpay to get picks. I understand that. If I'm the Giants, I do that. I just do. They're good enough now, and they've got that later first round pick anyway. I would do that in a heartbeat. My man Pommy in the chat. Good to see you, my friend. Fingers crossed your blue bag has come home. With a couple of good youngsters, I should say. Is there a chance James Leake gets picked before Connor O'Sullivan? Yes, there is. Wildly different players. One a more interceptor versus a centre half back, but yes, huge chance. Melbourne and GWS linked to James Leake. I'm excited for. Thoughts on the Crows using picks 10 and 14 for 7 for Curtin? Definitely possible. Very brave for the Crows to do that. Probably tells me that pick 20 is going to be just sort of who they deem as best talent available, whether that is I don't think it's pick 20, their third pick. Whether they think there's a guy like Charlie Edwards still there. Do they go for the homegrown Taylor Goad? It's going to be interesting. But if Curtin's their guy and they want him, yes, they will certainly dangle those two. I don't think they'll offer that straight up, though. I think they'll offer their best and worst of the 3 picks and maybe negotiate into that spot. Thoughts on Ollie Murphy to North and Schoenmaker as well? Ooh, interesting. I don't think they go both. And Will Green, if we get those available, as you don't think you should get Harry DiMattia. We'll work backwards, actually. So the DiMattia thing's interesting. I think North are as young and quick as maybe they need to be. I think Josh Goder's got underrated pace. And it was a really slow half back line last year. Hall, although quick, didn't really move quickly, if that makes sense. Zeeble, obviously, not that quick as well. But I like the pace of North. If they still think it's an issue, the DiMattia thing makes sense, but I'm with you. I'm going talls. I think they take a ruckman and a centre half back in those 3 spots. If they get Curtin, that might change. But I'm not 100% sure. My goodness. Any players Freo would trade into this year's draft for using a future first if there's any sliders? I think Lance Collard is their best chance for Freo to trade into. I wonder which future first they would dangle. Of course, they've got their own Port Adelaides and Collingwoods for next year. I think if they try to use all 3 of those for Logan McDonald, I think they're nuts. Not because Logan McDonald's not worth that, but one player doesn't fix a problem. It never has. Buddy was the one player for Sydney, and yes, he was a superstar, but they didn't win a flag. This is not the NBA. One player cannot fix you instantly. And if you say Jeremy Cameron to the Cats, they were not bad beforehand. Freo were not good last year. Big difference. Would I rather slide to Melbourne's pick 6 and take Curtains with Melbourne's future first than just take Watson at pick 5? Ooh. That is a very good question. Considering how midfield dominant next year's draft is, I'm not sure we need the 2 first rounders next year, if I'm being honest. I think we're going to use our 2024 first round pick in a trade. Who for? I don't know. But I don't think we're going to use it, and I think we're going to get someone experienced in. So still having that and a first round pick would be pretty nice. But I love the Curtin fit to the Hawks so much, so I probably would. Yeah, I probably would. That's no disrespect to the Wizard. Here we go. A lot more North, guys. It's not that I'm skipping over you on purpose, but if I find myself potentially answering the question or anything like that. James, do I think Ashton Moyer could slide to Hawthorn? I don't think Hawthorn are doing anything other than pick 4 or their first selection and then the 2 father sons. I think we're content with picking up Wingard and Cooper Stevens again in the rookie draft, which means we only take 3. Ado, we've got some agreements here. Clarko did meet with Curtin yesterday. Absolutely. Here we go. Great work. I potentially shouldn't be reading out compliments, but I appreciate that, my friend. Cal keeps saying Green to Swans. Love the fit. Absolutely. You reckon he would still be there if we trade back with North? Yes, I do. And if he's not, surely they like Mitch Edwards or Taylor Goad, the same amount. Which is very interesting considering they've got Brodie Grundy, but he's not going to be there forever and he gets to sit behind him. And Sydney are good enough that they don't need to take a player of need in this spot. So it would be interesting. If they love Will Green more than the other ruckman, trading back might be a risk. Do they like Ollie Murphy as potentially a centre half back or one of the other rucks? Might be interesting, but depend what North offer. I mean, they're not going to offer 2 of those 3 picks for Sydney's pick. Definitely not. But it would be worth considering. There are enough ruckmen on the table if Will Green's not there. Interesting. I might risk it. That's my answer. Let's have a look. Who would the Lions like to take? I've half answered this question. I believe it would be a ruckman if they move up, but most important for sure. Peter, this is an interesting question. How important is it for Hawthorn to get pick 4 right on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being setting the club back for years? Okay. I think. I mean, I love the development, but I agree with you. You still need your top end talent to get things right. I'm going to go an 8. I think it's an 8 out of 10 of importance. They don't need to be our best player. Absolutely not. But I would like to think that in 2 years' time, the player we pick up would be in our top 10 best. And then 4 years into their career, hopefully around that top 5 mark. And considering the talent the Hawks have already got, that would be a hell of an achievement. Okay. Let's have a look. Brisbane's best option for their list needs. I think they might be thinking of a replacement of Danaher or Hitwood in the future. If that's the case, then you're probably looking at your Archer Reed or Logan Morris. I don't really think there's any clubs that they're going to try and get ahead of that might take him, to be perfectly honest. And I think they could take a chance on Luke Lloyd later in the draft. So I agree with you. That is definitely an option to go a tall forward. I'm not sure if trading up for one is going to be their motivation there. Although you're a good team, get yourself a guarantee. Don't mind that at all. Why are West Coast only trying to trade with GWS to get back into the top 10 for Curtin? Like they could do future first and 6 or maybe a future second from Melbourne. They definitely could, but maybe Melbourne have said no. So that's why they're constantly going to the Giants. But I definitely think Melbourne will want their top 10 picks. They're a good enough team, Melbourne, because that pick 6, you got to remember, came from Freo in the Luke Jackson trade. So they effectively got this outside of their control. So you need to take advantage of it. And Melbourne are a good enough team to make finals and yet not really a premiership threat, if I'm being honest, at this point in time. So you still need youngsters to come through. You still need that development to go through. If I'm Melbourne, it would take a lot to get me out of that pick 6. Pick 11 might be a bit more flexible when it comes, but pick 6 right now, it's going to have to take trading up for me. I'm not absorbing it for next year's talent, in my opinion. Do I think West Coast to Curtin gets done? I'll do the old fake dollar theory. If I had to put $1 on it and it was even money, I'll say no. Alrighty. Keep flooding them through, guys. If the Hawks get Talls, McCabe, and Deer, would I go for the small forward in Watson? Yeah, probably. But the thing with Will McCabe is, and I hope I'm wrong about this, but I don't have a lot of evidence right now to suggest he's going to be a centre-half back. He just seems like I see more Jordan Ridley in Will McCabe than I do you could probably insert a key defender here. But I'm leaning more towards the Jordan Ridley path, where if he has to, he plays key back a little bit, but that intercept defender. My, not trepidation, my perhaps skepticism over not his spot in the side, because we could definitely use him, but his spot in the spine just feels very similar to James Sicily to me. I hope I'm wrong. And I don't say that often. Philly, yep, sure. One more thing about the Dolphins, absolutely. For sure. Let's hope Tua and my man, the Penguin, Jalen Waddle, can step up. Will Caddy get to Essendon? Well, if I don't understand why Melbourne aren't all over this, to be honest. So my answer's probably no. But would it surprise me? Not really. Which, by the way, is perfect. If we're talking draft fits, Nate Caddy to the Bombers makes me as a Hawthorn fan angry, but as like someone who's paying attention to the draft, delightful. And that's why I know it's good. If I, as a rival footy fan, absolutely hate this, it's a good thing. And Nate Caddy to Essendon makes me viscerally angry, which is why you know it's a good fit. So fingers crossed that helps. We've got John here. that is a lot of excitement for Charlie Edwards, my friend. And the comment is not a. I think the Pies are a chance to draft Charlie Edwards. They could. I don't know why, unless they just love. But the big-bodied mid, I know you've got Pendlebury, who's not necessarily going to be a midfielder forever, although the way he looks after himself and the way he's been playing, he definitely might. I mean, why wouldn't he? But I just don't see a 191 centimetre player when you've got guys like Reef McInnes and you've got Finlay McRae that are coming through. I'm going to go with no. I don't think Collingwood draft Charlie Edwards. Yeah, I've talked about Brisbane a little bit here. I'd be willing to bet James Leake forges a career in the AFL as a forward. Well, then. Well. The Melbourne fit looks a little bit better and better there, doesn't it? It does, even if Harrison Petty is going forward. I like that. One to keep an eye on. Absolutely. Any chance that Ollie Murphy can be taken earlier in the first round than everyone thinks? If you're thinking maybe earlier than 18, I definitely think that is a chance. But I think if a club is going to take him in that range, it would be if the pick stayed exactly the same, which we know is unlikely, but work with me here, would be Adelaide or Sydney. I think they're the only two. All right. Let's have a look. A few more down. Why is it paused on me? There we go. We're back. All right, let's have a look. Chu Giath has now fallen out of the top 30 in mock drafts, including Cal's. Are we lucky enough to for him to make it to 40? And if so, do we match? Yes. There you go. That's the first half of your question. I haven't even read it yet. Do we match? Hell yes. Please. Does that affect Deer's chance of landing at the Hawks? No, not really. If he's still there at our last pick, we don't have to give up anything. That's culture I'm talking about. But if another club does bid on him, it will be a decision to make. It really would. And by bid, I mean, let's say before 40, I think we probably let him go, to be honest. And someone could. Essendon and the Giants have spoken to him. I think Melbourne were a little bit interested maybe earlier in the year, not as much now. But getting Chew wouldn't affect Cole Shadir's spot at the Hawks. If it suits us, we'll pick him up. Okay. Brisbane, Archer Reid, potentially. I can understand that, but I think he'd be there if they didn't trade up. Now, again, you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, but they can guarantee to get him. You're 100% right, and I have nothing to say to that. Yes, you are correct. But I think he would be there when their pick is. But again, if you're thinking, but they can guarantee to get him, Daz, you're 100% right. No notes. 10 out of 10. Who is a player that I think has the highest ceiling? Ooh. Okay. The boring answer is Harley. Like, really, isn't it? Which is not a denigrating against him, by the way. He deserves the hype. The hype is too much, and an 18-year-old doesn't deserve this. But that's fair. If I'm going to go a guy maybe outside of the top 10 range, if you'll allow me to indulge here, I think a guy like, Charlie Edwards is the one that stands out. I think Harry DiMattia has got a very high ceiling. Very high ceiling. Darcy Wilson has a very high ceiling. But in my opinion, if there is a guy, let's say I was doing the podium, right? So there's Colby McKercho, who I think in 5 years' time could be the best player in this draft. I think Harley Reid's definitely going to be a good player. But if I was going to pick a third, maybe this will answer your question for me. At this point, so this isn't, 5 years' time, if you want to quote me on this, good luck to you, but opinions can change over time. I'm throwing in Caleb Windsor as maybe my third at this point, 5 years from now. Hopefully that answers your question enough. Would we pick Watson over Curtin? I think Hawthorn would. Don't know if I would, but that's not against Nick Watson. I am I'll say sucker for fit over talent, because I think when it comes to my own team, I think I see the flaws more than the positives at times. So even though we've picked up Ginnivan, I do have to remind myself, Nick Watson kicked 70 goals in all competitions last year. You give me 25 snags next year, alongside Guinea's, we'll say 30. Mitch Lewis is hopefully 50 plus. Gunners, give us 30 there. Moore and McDonald can maybe chip in with 20 each, hopefully. 15 to 20 each. Oh, that's a forward line I can wrap my head around. You and me both. Mazza. Sorry. Don't have my glasses on. Yeah, me too. Love Zano. Love ZD. I'll call him whatever he wants to. The Durr man, whatever. What could we, if Xavier is the bow and arrow, what kind of weaponry could we give as a nickname for Zane? Okay. I think that I agree that the Hawks are, if any chance, boost their defense. Yep, I do. Simply enough. Windsor plays like Will Day. I like that. Doesn't have the size of Big Wilbur Barry, but I do like it. Where do I see Jack Callanan getting drafted? 30 plus. Yes, I think he'll be around that 40 area. I think in terms of the small forward brigade, outside of Nick Watson, we're not really looking at a whole lot there in those teens. Maybe Lance Collard, if North love him as much as I do, but you've got, and I'll probably forget someone here, but you've got Phoenix Gothard, you've got Cohen Sanchez, you've got Jack Deline from North Adelaide, who I'm a fan of. Jack Callanan is firmly in that group, but yes, 30 plus, I would agree with that. Beach baller, for sure. A couple more Hawks ones again, guys. I do apologise. I don't want to make this all about Hawthorn, so please don't think I'm ignoring you on purpose. Okay. Who do I think could be a sneaky steal? George Stevens will always be the answer to this question for mine. I love this dude. I really do. But let's go outside because I want to answer all the questions in the same way. I'm a Luke Lloyd fan. As long as he goes to a club where he's not the number one forward, I think that could definitely be a go. Who else am I thinking of? Maybe sort of late 20s style. I mean, Ashton Moyer, if his body's fit, this guy was a top 5 talent 8 months ago, and his body did let him down. Some form did affect him as well. I'm not denying that for a moment. But if we're talking a steal as, could he be taken, we'll say Carlton at pick 28. If he does end up a top 10 player in the draft, I think you'd have to consider that a steal, I think. So, some names there. Do I think North will use all 6 picks, but they've only got 5 at the moment, or just the first rounders? Oh, sorry, you do have the pick in the 50s. My apologies, that's on me. I thought you were saying first round picks. Yes, I do. Yep, I do. I don't really see a point in giving up a pick in the national draft just to go to the rookie draft. I know there might be maybe some list machinations that someone at North knows better than me that can answer that. But if I've got 6 selections that I can put on my main list, I am doing that. Okay. Alrighty. Jack Deline is from South Adelaide, not North. That's on me. I apologise. I don't want the South Australians mad at me. I don't want anyone mad at me, really, but we don't always get what we want, so I apologise. The Hawks getting Ed Phillips, I hope so. Aussies have won the toss and elected to bowl. Don't mind that. Turning at both ends, so let's put them under pressure. And yeah, Con, you're right. Where Daniel Curtin ends up shapes the draft. Absolutely. Absolutely, he does. Okay. Who will be the biggest winner in the draft apart from North, maybe? Ooh, I like this. I think the Crows, definitely. I'll give you a sneaky team, if I can, because they've drafted better than I think any other club has in the last 2 years, and that's St Kilda. Watch out for the Sainers. They've got their 2 picks in the 30 there. If they come off, absolutely they could. Absolutely they could. Jacob, for mine, I don't think they draft Caddy first. I think they'll look to maybe get back in the first round and get him. So I'd probably reverse that. For the Hawkers, let's have a look. How much do I think the AFL will change the draft for next year with them reviewing the system? It seems like there could be some pretty big changes due. The one thing that I hope doesn't happen is affecting, and I think it'll be Adelaide the most with Welsh and Michael Annie, is if they screw over the Crows, and I don't think it's because it's the Crows, it'll just be the year that this falls on. But if they're unable to get those 2 boys for any changes, I think that is not good. I think if you introduce the changes, you've got to go, this is how it's going to work from the next year onwards. I think it's poor form if If you go, righto, guys, sorry, Adelaide, that you will be planning for this for such a long period of time, but now you can't get what you deserve in the father-sons. I don't think that's right. That's just me. Lemon, I mean, I am going to do a video on this very shortly, so I don't want to spoil it for you. But great question, and a shout out to you. You've been fantastic throughout all three, and I appreciate it. Isaac, I feel I'll be disappointed if the Crows miss out on Curtin and O'Sullivan. Yep, I agree. I think you should be as well. Given the number of players Hawthorn are delisted, traded, don't we need to draft 4 players and 2 rookies and perhaps another? Well, the 2 rookies are going to be Wingard and Stevens. And according to the list rules and the way the list is made up, I think we've only got 4 left. But what we could do is get Ethan Phillips in the SPP, so that means we draft 3. I hope that makes sense. If Chew does get past 30, then should the Hawks hurry to trade up for him or just wait to see if he falls to us? Wait. He doesn't fit a position of need. I know he could be a gun, and I think he and CJ are kind of like the perfect pair. CJ is the run fast without really knowing what he's going to do with it, whereas Chew is much more of the I know what I'm going to do with it, and then it's all about execution. Okay, who do I think in the draft will be the biggest slider? But will be better than expected. Ooh, that's a good. I mean, again, could I put this answer as George Stevens? I think Lance Collard's a chance. If we look at Cal Toomey's Phantom Draft, Lance Collard at 30 seems a steal to me. And very much a slider because I don't think he's the 30th best talent at all. Let's have a look. Brian, should the Blues take Ashton Moyer with their first or second pick? Yes, first. Would love the Blues to get Archie Roberts and Moyer with their 2 picks. I mean, that would be outstanding. I'm not a believer in draft grades, and I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do the draft review, even though I will be going live tomorrow and Tuesday, so hopefully you guys can jump on board. That would be amazing if you could do that, reacting to all the picks. I'll have the 2 screens going, so I'll be reacting. I'll have the screen down here so we can see what's going on and not get copyrighted because that's not what we want. But if the Blues end up with Archie Roberts and Ashton Moyer, that will be a huge tick in my book. Okay, a few more coming through, guys. This is a little bit slow on my end. Neither Sean, he'd be SPP, so we would sign him in the preseason. Okay. How do I rate the man known as Double V as an option after Goad, Green, and Edwards are off the board? Yes, I like him. I really do. And what I think is underrated, and I put Mitch Edwards in this group as well, is they're more ruckman than athlete, but we as a footballing public love the athlete more than the ruckman. So I think he could be a steal for sure. And I think a club like Richmond should look at him, replacing Ivan Solder. I know they've got Samson Ryan, but I think he would be one to look at. Brisbane, maybe even, if they want to use one of their later picks later on, would be nuts not to look at him. Few clubs. Adelaide, if they miss out on that group, could definitely look at him for sure. Let's have a look. Too hard to predict, Rory. It's a great question, but too hard to predict. Sean Manor, if he doesn't get taken in the national draft, I think would be a really, really good rookie draft pick. Someone should give him a chance after what he did. West Coast to trade their future first to Geelong for pick 8 and a future first if Curtin is still there. I think they go earlier than that. I think they go for either Melbourne or GWS's pick before that. But all of that makes sense for sure. If Curtin falls past Hawthorn, what are the chances on North trading for him? Well, if it's not North, it's West Coast. They might end up in a bidding war. The good news for North is they've got the assets now, whereas West Coast have got the assets in the future. So depending on which club you're trading with, if it's someone like Melbourne, I could definitely see them going maybe the now so they can get some guys in. But if it's a club like the Giants, who might use assets later on, then maybe they would favour West Coast. But yeah, if someone gets Daniel Curtin after he falls past Hawthorn, if he does pass Hawthorn, then I think it's North or West Coast. Or, of course, the team that might have the pick to just say, no, we're going to take him. Not like that. Peter, I think if they don't make the NFC Championship game, they're going to be disappointed. Pommy, you're an absolute star, mate. Can't wait to be collaborating with you next year. You're a closeted Hawthorn man. We all know it. And by we, I mean me. Would be nice. Is Wingard going to Collingwood? No, he's not. He's happy to stay at Hawthorn. I don't blame him for talking to other clubs. I think he understood and agreed to the delisting stuff and understood how it works. Wants to stay at the Hawks. Don't blame him. So, no, I don't think he will be. Did the Crows picking up Toby Murray and Chris Burgess go against pushing hard to pick up O'Sullivan and Goad, like how other sources are saying? I don't think so. The Burgess one as insurance, I think, might be a decent enough point, but when you're signing, Toby Murray now, I don't think that says, well, that's that sorted. It is a free hit for a reason. It really is. But again, I think the Crows should look at Darcy Wilson. I really do. Or even if they're going to trade up, I'd potentially trade up for Caleb Windsor if I was the Crows. For sure. Let's have a look. Well, Joel, I've covered the Crows quite convincingly. If they do try to trade up, I think it's either for Windsor or centre half back. If their picks stay the same, I think they go one key position player and midfielder and best talent available. Definitely would be looking at Taylor Goad as well. Do I think we should be able to live trade drafted players on draft night? Charlotte would probably be saying no, considering their 3 players that they've traded on draft night, that being Kobe Bryant. I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was another one, and those 2 are already superstars. And Jalen, the center for the Pistons. Someone will remind me, he's only 19. Is it Duran? I think that's his name. 3 pretty good players there. Do I have any info on Ethan Phillips? So the 22-year-old for Port Melbourne. Yeah, looks a player. Going to train with the Hawks. Going to play with Box Hill if we don't pick him up anyway. And even if we don't get him at SSP, we're going to have a look at him in the mid-season draft. But very composed and beats his opponents. Very much a back shoulder kind of operator, which we like. And yeah, Jalen Duran, thank you for the clarification. So keep flooding, guys, with the comments. We'll probably stick around for maybe another 10 minutes or so if we can. I appreciate the good numbers tonight. Of course, there'll be some watching on Twitter as well, which is fantastic. Okay, the draft. I'm so looking forward to the draft. I hope you guys are as well, for sure. Trade period 100% should end the day of rookie draft, would make picks more interesting, especially as sides like Geelong could pounce with their older players to help rebuilds. Oh, interesting. So you're suggesting the entire player trade period. So I think the question earlier, Pommy, was about, like, hypothetically, let's say West Coast drafted Harley Reid and then traded him to North, for example, afterwards. But you're thinking, could someone go get a Cam Guthrie, for example, for a pick on the night? That would be really interesting. Do I prefer Fryer or Simpson as an outside mid? Well, Joel Fryer is a wingman, so that's interesting. I prefer. My man NP is a rebounding defender. I think Angus Hasty is more of your jack of all trades kind of defender. But as an outside mid, Cooper Simpson, big fan, knows how to hit the scoreboard as well. That is very important and what we love. But I do like Joel Fryer as well. But if we're talking better player, I'm probably taking Simpson first. And I'm probably taking Hasty first as well. Do I think AFL introduce pay for draft picks next year? Yes, I do. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And for me, it's kind of like, and I know that there's a salary cap and everyone's got the same money in the bank, but it makes me kind of feel the same way that, like, VIP tickets to a concert does. Like, we have no idea if people with more money are bigger fans of an artist. But because more can come out of the credit card or more can come out of the bank account, they get a better seat. Doesn't make sense to me. And you could argue the same thing with footy as well. You really could. Charge them a buttload to sit in the corporate box. Does it really benefit every team below North if they pick up Dan Curtin? It makes the draft more boring in terms of what draft pick trades could happen. But in that scenario, I think it benefits North almost as much, if not more, because he's their guy. That's how you get faith in someone real easily. Having a family dinner. Oh, that's amazing. Can't wait to watch the draft. Amazing. I hope that is fantastic. What are you having? Just quietly. I don't judge. I've cooked in kitchens for 6 years and I've seen everything bad. So you won't make my list of weirdest things, I think. Have I seen Phoenix Gothard's rise and slide up draft orders a lot lately, but is a bit of an unknown to me? What are his assets and possible draft range? Well, the draft range for me, I think he goes in the 20 to 32 kind of range, if you can give me a range that deep. And what he's got going for him is he's just clever. He really is. It seems like every time he gets the footy, something good happens, which is nice. Very slippery as well. Difficult to tackle, which we like. Lockie, I did in the past. I'm not sure. I'm taking Supercoach maybe less and less seriously as the years kind of go on. I treat draft more seriously than I do classic. And I got absolutely shafted in draft this year. I lost my knockout final by about 9 points, and the guy that beat me and went into the granny got absolutely smacked, and the score that I got in the granny would have beaten them both. So I have a very toxic relationship with Supercoach at the moment, but if enough people want it, I'll absolutely do it for sure. I only want to make content that you guys enjoy. What are my plans to watching the draft? I'm right here. So I'll be reacting to everything. So if I am having a bevy or 6, the labels will be removed because we don't want to get I don't want to get copyrighted at all for the entire thing, but I will be live. So if you want to check in when the picks are made, you can jump on and see me react to it. But yeah, I'll be talking to you guys in the comments between the choices and all that. And then when the picks come in, we'll be able to go through it together. I might drop the link so a couple of you might be able to jump on during the time, maybe discuss some things. That is always possible. Okay, but fingers crossed you can jump on either Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. If you do follow me on Twitter, which you can at RaceKnight8, RHYS, and Night with a K. But hopefully you'll be able to join, whether it's for all of it, some of it. I don't judge. I don't discriminate. Everyone's welcome. Roast mammal. Lovely. That's what we like. I love a roast. I don't like roast beef, though. I think Fancast are doing it. I think they are. I won't be joining them, unfortunately. But the boys do a great job. They really do. Love jumping on with them, talking some smack. I like arguing as well with those lads on and off mic. It's great. What will the Crows do? Tall defenders or best player available? Both. Is definitely an option. Do I think Riley Weatherhill will get drafted? 197 centimeters, kick the most goals in the talent league. That's usually a good start. Didn't watch a whole lot of Riley, I've got to be honest. Compared to Luke Lloyd, yeah. The thing that he's got going for him and what all talls have going for him, really, kick the most goals in the talent league. I thought that was Nick Watson. Happy to be wrong, but I'll take your word for it. But no, I don't know enough about Riley to give a proper opinion there. I apologise. But being a tall forward would probably help. Surprise bolter into the first round. I think someone might pull the trigger on Ashton Moyer. Probably stands out as a bolter. Zane Zakastelski could be a surprise bolter if someone really likes him. I think those are the two that stand out the most. Or again, as most of my answers seemingly have been tonight, George Stevens could be in the first round. Here we go with the Hawks. Better off chasing Bailey Smith or Jamara since they both want to boost both positions next year. I think Bailey. I don't think Jamara's going anywhere. Ken? James would love Supercoach content as well. Okay. Few more rustlings. Interesting. I don't like roast beef. No, not a fan. And I am a staunch steak eater, but I am a rare off the bone, medium rare on the bone kind of operator. I know you can do roast beef rare and medium rare, but it's just something I can't get. I can't get it right. But if I'm gonna have me Yorkshire puds, I'm gonna do it with a roast chicken or a roast pork. Or a roast duck if I'm feeling fancy and want to sell my house that I definitely don't own if I want to afford it. Should the Dockers use one of their... I feel like that is the most snobby thing I've ever said on this channel. Just, hey guys, welcome to the draft content. Let's talk about roast duck. Love duck, though. Comfy duck legs. My goodness. All right, this isn't about food. Let's move on. Should the Dockers use one of their future first and a future second to trade to GWS for Dan Curtin if he slides? Not enough, Alistair. They would have to trade 2 of their future firsts to at least get them interested, and I don't know why the Giants would do that. They would want something now and something in the future. So I think for Dan Curtin to Freo, highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. All right. Roast lamb is superior to roast beef. I love this conversation. I am with you. I would take a roast lamb over a roast beef if they'll both cook perfectly. Do I think North will try to get Curtin to pick 8? Yes, I do. Simply put, yes, I do. And if I'm Melbourne, GWS, or Geelong, I'm wanting their next pick. So North's next pick and their future first. And maybe more. But that's the base. It's that at least. Roast animal tier list. What haven't we spoken about? Because roast chicken's amazing. Again, if everything's cooked perfectly. I'm a roast pork man. My number one. That's my S tier. And then my A's would probably be chicken, duck. And then my B tier is probably lamb. C tier is starting to run out of things to roast here. We'll go C is everything else, and then D is roast beef. I don't do roast beef. I think it would surprise. I don't think I'm picky until people start talking about food that I don't like. But sure, if we want to add to this conversation, passion fruit and pineapple, can stick that. Here's an interesting question. Which player in this year's draft will play the most games? Oh, I love this question, Rory. You can have the MVP for tonight. That's outstanding. I mean, I've got to pick Colby, don't I? I think I've got to pick Colby. Yeah. I'll tell you what, if Colby is a bust, I'm going to feel like it's my fault and I've jinxed him in a big way. But it's more Pommy's fault than mine. If he's a bust, it's more Pommy. If he's good, it's more me. That's how it works in it, Pommy. Great man. Are there any places to read up on the top picks for 2024? You can look at the National Academy side for next year, which has already been released. I highly recommend checking out rookie.me, the Draft Central there. They might have some stuff on the 2024 prospects, but usually that stuff will start to come out around December. All right. Usually the day after the draft, because we can't actually enjoy the things we have now. Let's be honest. Mate, anytime. Absolutely. I'm not a person that goes, it's not for me, so never. When I say that I don't like it or I don't eat it, all that means is that I wouldn't cook it myself. But Pommy, more than happy to for you to change my life. Great man. Small forward rankings: Callanan, DeLeon, Sanchez, Gothard, and Collard. Ooh, I'd almost just reverse order that. Collard, Gothard, Sanchez, DeLeon, Callanan. Almost. I think I might have Callanan ahead of DeLeon. Lemon grab. Great question. Mock draft of roast mammals after draft night. Look, it could even come up during the mock draft. Sorry, not during the mock draft, during the actual draft streams. We'll just, in between picks, will just be food and drink controversial opinions. I'm happy with that. For sure. You know, we'll get a Pepsi Max versus Diet Coke Zero kind of debate going. I'm more than happy to do it. Why did I say that? People are now going to debate that now. Oh, turkey. Oh, yeah. Forgot about turkey. Yeah, love turkey. I think turkey's the worst meat dry. Although I don't really like any of it dry. And if anyone wants to use that as a soundbite, absolutely. We're getting into the last 5 minutes of the stream. We'll balance it out. Pan-seed scallops on cauliflower puree with bacon, sand, and micro salad. You are speaking my language, my friend. I'll tell you what, if we're talking puree, big fan of corn puree with scallops. Sweet on sweet. You got the salty with the bacon, and I like having sort of mini cauliflower florets. You poach them a little bit in milk, flavored milk, and then you get them into your batter and just deep fried. So you got your scallop, you got your sweetness, your fishiness, your saltiness. You got your bacon, which has got your earthiness. You got your corn, And then you've got your microsalad there, something to cut through, maybe even some apple in that equation as well. And then you give me that pop of cauliflower, and we are good to go. Anyone want to come to mine for dinner? Holy smokes. Yeah, Pommy, let's make this a party. Why not? He's a great man, Pommy. They're a great family. Yep, for sure. Yep. The Pommy curse for Colby couldn't be more right if you tried, my friend. Here we go. The Talent League, 37 for the Rangers. Dersma had 34, Lloyd 19, and Watson kicked 11. Oh, okay, so Watson, I'm thinking of because of the 70 in all competitions. That's my fault. 37 for Riley. That's fantastic. And I kind of feel disappointed I didn't research him more. So my apologies, Riley. I do hope you get picked up. And considering it is quite a shallow, tall forward class, I really hope you do get a shot. That would be amazing. What time is the live stream draft tomorrow? Good question. It is assessment week for me at work, so I need to sort some things out tomorrow morning. But as long as you're subscribed, and I think you are, my lemon friend over there, we'll be announcing it tomorrow. So just let me finalize it, and I'll be good. Which players in this year's trade will surprise us the most, and in which way will they show it? Ooh. I don't want to say it because he's a former Hawk. But if Jacob Kaczynski works out for the Tigers, there are a lot of people that will want to be in contact with me in ways so smug that I might have to get a bigger door to my room here. I think, but in terms of which player do I think would make a big impact early, Lockie Schultz at the Pies, I think, will be the biggest surprise. I know he was good at Freo, and a lot of people knew he was good, but when you come to Victoria and you put under the spotlight, I think he'll shine. I really do. James, for those that like pineapple, yes, it does, because there's not a whole lot of sweet things you can put on a pizza. So as long as you're putting it with something salty, and I know there won't be a lot of anchovy fans here, but if you've got something like your ham, your bacon, you got your pork, I understand why Hawaiian pizza is popular, because you got your sweet, you got your salty, you got your savoriness with the crust, and they don't really make tomato sauces, of which a former head chef of mine kept calling Napoli sauce, which is what I call it, just because that's ingrained into me. They don't really make them sweet anymore, like quite tomato forward. So I understand it. North more likely to take Dan Curtin or Zane Dersma at pick 4. Dersma. Do I think North will take Colby McKercher at pick 2? Yes, I do. I know that's a very boring answer, but it is true. Here we go. Is the focus for the AFL draft too focused on the top 5? Yes, but my golly gosh, it makes my job easier, which I love. The media seem to influence the 20-plus players due to lack of coverage. Yeah, I agree. But again, if the mainstream media do everything right, then no one watches our stuff, Pommy. So let's be grateful that for it, which I know we are, and you're a great man. Yep, dry turkey is terrible. Absolutely, it is. Venison is S tier, well done, amazing in a curry. I've had venison once, and it was not cooked well. So I'll need to try it again, but I don't have any other rentals that I can finance to afford it. So I'll look forward to it for sure. Oh, genuinely rate roast kangaroo. We are the only country in the world that roasts its coat of arms, which is, I don't know what that says about us as a people, but I do like kangaroo as well. I do like alligator as well. Who is my dark horse for the 2024 Rising Star? Great question. Elijah Sardis. Elijah Sardis is my outsider for the Rising Star. Anyone have that potentially was what was going to be my answer? Pommy cauliflower puree. Love a puree. Unless it's potato, because too many people blend their potato puree and it comes out gummy. And no good. Let's have a look. Agreeing with each other. Love that. Do you think North? Yep, North trading up for Curtin makes sense, but I don't think 2 picks in this draft get it done. Their future first needs to be on the table. You've got to overpay. You have got to overpay for picks. You really, really do. All right, guys, I've just noticed that we've hit the 55-minute mark, so I'm going to start wrapping this up. It's been a fantastic part 3. Thank you so much for jumping on. I cannot wait for tomorrow. I'll be announcing what time I'll be going live. You can jump in. It'll be look, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Between selections, it's going to be some nonsense because it's going to be the pick comes in, and then I'll react to it, and then the next club's got 5 minutes, and then it can get loose. So if you want a sense of camaraderie around the draft, jump in because we'll talk absolute nonsense. You can ask me the weirdest life questions you want. I love answering all that stuff. I've loved jumping on with you throughout this process. Have a fantastic evening. Fingers crossed, if you're working tomorrow, that your working week either starts, ends, wherever you're at. I hope your work day goes absolutely sensationally and we can all enjoy a fantastic day one of the draft together. Stay safe, guys. Be well because you're absolute stars and you absolutely deserve everything good that'll be coming your way tomorrow. And I'll see you very, very soon as my light goes out. That probably tells me I'm done as well. Have a good one, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow night.